And it says we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another live stream with Scruffy City Aquatics. My name is Mitch, and yeah, you're looking at my crypt forest that's coming back. Looks good. I love seeing these crypts come back. Some of these are mine that are coming back, and then some are new, as you may have seen in my most recent video. I hope you saw that. Before we get started, I want to take a moment and just say thank you to everyone who is watching the replay of this. Thank you for checking out the video, and just hope you will engage with it. Comment below. Let me know that you watched it. And I see Scuba Stevo. Scuba Stevo's Aquatics is here. Welcome, Scuba Steve. This is a live, not a premiere. I just haven't put myself up there yet. Oh, I didn't mean for solo mode, but there I am. Let me fix this. There we go. I don't like catching the edge of that picture frame because it just kind of looks odd just being the edge of it. Hey, Vibes Aquatics. Thanks, Scuba Steve. Appreciate it. Radio voice. I do sometimes have a radio voice. I don't know where it comes from, but it's there. The Zen Ginger. Hey, Zen Ginger. Good to see you. So it is just me tonight. Tanner was scheduled to be off. He's on a trip and away from his computer and cell phone tonight and could not join me. Hope he has a good time. Next week we should be back to normal. This week will be normal. It's just going to be me. That'll be fun, right? We'll try that. I've tried it a couple of times. Let me put the camera back up. Something cool that StreamYard has added is they've added a new way, and it does not like me playing with it while I'm on, so I'm going to stop. They've added new layouts, so I'm looking forward to trying that, being able to do a few things with the layout. You all know me. I enjoy playing with this stuff and learning about it. I tried out Streamlabs recently, and it told me that my Mac was too old, and I needed to go buy a new one. So we're still on StreamYard. Collaboration of curiosities. Hello, hello. Oh, thanks, Vibes. Thanks for saying I look good. I appreciate that. I hope you meant the picture was coming in well because I know I'm not looking good. Stephen P, hello. Welcome to the chat. Nancy B in Tennessee with hellos. Yeah, tonight we're going to continue in the current topic of so you are going to buy an aquarium. It's a statement, not a question. So you are going to buy an aquarium, and this is going to be part 3 of that. I want to say discussion, but I mean, it's a discussion. It's me and you all, right? You all are in the chat. I'm sitting here just kind of rambling a little bit. That will be the discussion for tonight. I think that'll be fun. I see some people who do this, on a regular basis, where they just get on and they communicate with the chat, and sometimes they got a topic, but I think that's fun. This could be fun, right? If I can keep from sniffing. Hold on one second. Oh, that's better. The seasons, they be changing where I'm at over and over again. It's like ping pong. We're back and forth all the time. Zelly Belly, I hope I said that right. Hello. Going to buy another aquarium? Well, I believe the Petco sale is still going on. And as I recently learned, there are other stores that will price match the Petco sale if Petco doesn't have this tank you're looking for. I went to Pet Supplies Plus. I think that's it, Pet Supplies Plus, and got the 20 long for my daughter, which is still not set up. We've had a number of things just kind of get in the way, and we've not been able to paint that. We've not been able to paint the dresser yet, so that's not happened. And I've actually got another project that I'm ready to do too. I need to build a stand for the 25 gallon. I'm going to put the 10 gallon underneath it so that it's a quarantine tank. And then I have Pet Supplies Plus Zen Ginger. Yes, that's it. And Zenny's the one that gave me that tip. So again, thank you, Zenny, for that. But yeah, I'm going to build that small stand to put those 2 tanks on. And then I've got a couple of tiny tanks to play with. I've got a 3 gallon and a 2 gallon. They were just given to me to play around with. The 3 gallon, the dog is suddenly in the room and playing. So sorry about that. He's cute though. But yeah, the 3 gallon is going to be a shrimp tank, and the 2 gallon is probably going to be for Daphnia if I don't just plan it and just kind of make a little aquascape for it. Hey, Coral Works. Good to see you. I don't think I've missed anybody who's made it in the chat. So welcome everyone. Yeah, so I talked in the latest video about having a few projects. That's kind of the projects I have going on. A few things that I'm excited about. I am trying to decide what kind of aqua soil to use in my daughter's 20 long. I do want to use some aqua soil in it because I want to try it out and see how it does with my tank, or with that tank, with my water and everything. Uh, it Yeah, I'm not going to do the whole thing in aqua soil because it's a 20 long, but I'm going to do like pockets where I can plant some heavy root feeders. So if you want to, give me some recommendations on that. I've had a few local recommendations that I'm going to go check out at a couple of stores and look at. As far as any announcements that I got going on, I'm less than 2 weeks away from the East Tennessee Aquatic Association's spring swap. And we're kind of at the frantic trying to make sure everything's ready to go stage of that, but it's a lot of fun and we're looking forward to it. We've got a meeting coming up to make sure we've got everything ready, but really this is our third one, and I feel like we got these down already where they work pretty smooth, and we've got a number of volunteers at the next one. So I'm really looking forward to being able to enjoy that day. I've got a new painting that you all will see. Someone in our club is doing a painting for me, and I plan on it going back here. This actually will remove. I just put it up with what are these things called? The commend strips, so that I can remove it and swap it out. So that won't always be there. That's for the other thing. That's for the podcast. Um, but yeah, now that I pointed out, let me tell you about it. This right here is a personalized poster, and it's from one of the animators on the show. And this over here is supposed to be those of us on that podcast. So I really love this thing. Really cool to make that connection with one of the animators and get some of those behind the scenes. This is someone who worked on the literal animation of the show, not the planning or anything like that. Like, they made the animation, so it's really cool. Anyway, let's see. Whoever you are, hope you're doing good. That's good. Scuba Stevo's Aquatics got shrimp today. Black Rose, Blue Diamonds, and Yellow Neos. I got Blue Bolt Stardust and Yellow King Kong Cardenia. I've got some Blue Diamonds. That's what I think I'm going to do with that 3 gallon. I'm going to move a few of those Blue Diamonds over. I know they're doing well. I've got the fry that I found in that tank not long ago have grown up quite a bit. They're starting to be full size now. I think they're getting close. I can still tell that they're younger than the ones that have been in there a while, but they're doing really good. Oh no, Nancy B, another leak. That's not fun. Not fun at all. So yeah, the swap's coming up. That's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, projects going on. I hope you all saw the video on the 75. If you haven't, I hope you go check it out. Let's pull this up real quick. You see I've got these crypts going on here in the middle. This is my crypt area of this tank. and they are growing in. Some of these are the crypts that I already had in here that had kind of melted back, and some of them are new crypts. Really, the light colored ones are the new ones in this section of the tank. The bronze crypts, wind tie, went over on the other side. Yeah, Nancy B. I have blue diamonds from the Garden of Eden too, and they are gorgeous. I still, whenever I catch one of them, they're almost black, and they have that blue undertone. You see like blue highlights when the light hits them. They're just gorgeous. Scuba Stevo's never really done swaps. They're a lot of fun. Um, I had never done a swap until I was part of a group that hosted one. I had no idea what we were going to do, what to do. The first one really was just kind of, I mean, it's like a swap meet. That's what it is. That's where the name comes from. I don't like the name swap. We've actually been having those conversations about changing that, and I'm looking forward to sharing what we come up with. It's going to be cool. But yeah, we keep having to explain to people that you don't have to bring fish to trade. You can bring money. People like to trade money too. So we're going to maybe move away from that. Yes, TGOE, the Garden of Eden, they are shrimp gurus. Grant and Shelby are the best. I agree. I've got some red cherries in this tank. It's an old colony. They've been in here a while. I'm starting to see some browns showing up. I've never culled from it, so I really need to add some new reds. And I've seen some Bloody Marys at my one of my local stores, and I kind of think I would like to add that to my colony and maybe darken them up some. If that's how it works, I would imagine that's how it works. I don't know. That's probably not a dominant gene. I probably would just continue to get the ones that I'm getting. But swaps are a lot of fun. We have a great time. The first one I worked the entire time. The last one I had quite a bit of time to just kind of hang out. And I've got a quick video that I did that I'm hopefully going to get out in the next couple of days. I want to get it out for the club, but also for you all, just kind of sharing some of my experience with the swap. I was actually going over some old footage from the swaps today, looking at that. Aquatic Bazaar. I thought about that. I really like what we went with, what I think we're going to go with, but I won't ruin the announcement or however we're going to do it. This Corey's cracking me up right here. She's loving the camera. The pink or the red, are they red or pink ram's horns? It's got a pink foot. They're gorgeous. I don't know if I need to start pulling out some of those that aren't pink or red. I need to look into that. How do I get more of those? I need to pull some of those out and put them in one of these new tanks that I'm going to start. Yeah, we were talking about that, Nancy. I saw that you had a birthday party going on, and I definitely wouldn't miss that 91st birthday party. But if you happen to be driving through at the time, we're not far from the interstate. You're not going out of the way at all. We're talking like 2 minutes. So you should pull off there in Knoxville at Fountain City and check us out if you're going through. We'll be there 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. For the public. Hey, Mexicali Fish Keeper. All right, I'm going to jump into the topic for a little bit. I guess I could bring myself back up on the screen. Let's try this. Is that better? That might be better. I need a haircut. Look at that ducktail sticking it. That's appropriate, I guess. Um, Not this time. Okay, yeah, yeah. We'll, October we'll be doing it again. The fall swap, as it will not be called, will be a good time too. So you should come out to that. But we're going to talk about, so you are going to buy an aquarium. And the last time we talked about this, we talked about what was essential, what is essential, what do you need to pick up. Regina Phalanges is in the house. Pivot, it's good to see you. But yeah, we talked about what you should get, what is essential. And so this week, there's a few things that honestly, they're kind of essential, but they may not be essential for everyone. Whereas the other things, stand, tank, filtration, light, dechlorinator, we felt like that was pretty much essential for everybody. So this week, we'll be talking about a few things that may be essential. It might be essential. So number one, beneficial bacteria. It is essential, but there's different options on how you could get it. And if you already have aquariums, you may not need it. You may not need to get it. So that's why it may be essential. Beneficial bacteria, you're going to need it in order to get your tank processing uh, ammonia and nitrites into nitrates, and you in order to get those toxins out of your water, for your fish to live happy lives, you're going to have beneficial bacteria. And there's a few ways you can get that, and we've talked about it on these live streams and on this channel before. The way that I've always recommended for people is take a sponge filter or take a piece of filter media from another tank that's been running, and make sure that you get that into your tank. Whether I would recommend squeezing it in the tank and getting the tank all nasty and gnarly, and that's going to help for sure. But you want to get that into the tank. That's my preferred method. I also like to use plants, and I try to buy plants that are in tanks. So whether it's I'm moving plants over from a tank that I already own, or if I'm buying plants at the local aquarium, asking them to make sure they put it underwater in the bag, and keeping everything wet, because that's going to carry some beneficial bacteria over for you. There's things like that you could do. Decorations, make sure you buy decorations. Take a cooler with you. Buy a piece of decoration that's already in one of the tanks. Put it in the cooler. Keep it underwater. Or a bucket. I guess 5-gallon bucket is probably easier than a cooler. But doing things like that to try and protect the bacteria that's already there. A little scoop of substrate from another tank, whether it's your tank or the store or a friend or somebody at a club, anything like that. And there are some stores. I know one of my local stores is said to do this. I've never asked them, but I've been told that they keep little bags of filter media put back, and they don't advertise that they got it, but if you ask for it, they will sell it to you. I believe they sell it to you, and you can use it, but they don't advertise it because what happens when it doesn't work, and there's all that. So those are the methods I've always recommended for people. But now there's this thing called Fritz Zyme 7, and then also Turbo Start. And in my experiences online, talking with people who find themselves with a fish in cycle or something like that going on, I've seen a number of people recommend that they pick up these products. In that situation, the Turbo Start for sure. But if you're just starting a tank, the Fritz Zyme 7 seems to be good. These two products, from my experience talking with other people, appear to do a good job of getting your bacteria started. Now you got to feed them too. Don't forget that you need to be feeding them. There needs to be a source for ammonia in order to get that cycle moving and keep everybody happy. But I hear these are great products. I don't know of any others that are good. I just know that a number of people that I have spoken with that have tried this say that they were very successful with it and it worked. So that is a way that you can get that beneficial bacteria into your tank. I saw someone say, and I should have noted it, someone say water. And yes, water is essential. It wasn't on the list, but you're absolutely correct. There needs to be water. Basement Aquatics with Dave. Dave, it's late. What are you doing up? Hopefully y'all finish that job and you get to spend some more time with us. It's good to see you, man, even if you're about to go to bed. Keystone Clash is here. Welcome, Keystone Clash. It's good to see you. Hope everybody is familiar with the Keystone Clash and is planning your trips. And I hope you have a good time. Tell me all about it. One of these days, I'll make it. I'm looking forward to making it. Let's see. Yeah, Lady R. Hey, Lady R, you snuck in on me. I do. I love this tank. I'm hoping it's making a comeback. Working on the stem plants. I'm shoving a lot of root tabs in there. Dialing in the light. Starting to get some blackbeard algae in the back. Stuff like that. Dr. Tim's works too, but I tend to like Fritz. Regina Phalanges says, I guess you've used Dr. Tim's? Nancy B says driftwood with Anubias is what I used when I got back into fish keeping, and that's really one that I used as well. I bought a big piece of Malaysian driftwood, and it had Anubias on it, and it took care of it. Dave's in the bed about to go get some Z's. This is good to have you. All right, so that's number one on the might need, because you may have it, so you might not need it if you already have it. Secondly, substrate. And the reason why it's a might is because there are people who like to do bare bottom tanks. So that's a thing. You might do that. Or maybe you're going to go out back and dig up some dirt and you're going to use that. I know there's people that swear by that. I've never tried it. I don't know that I ever will, but people do that. There's all kinds of substrate that you might pick up. If you're going to do a planted tank, it's likely you probably lady R, you're welcome. So I gave a few people mod. I don't know that if it's privileges or not, but I did make some people mods recently. I figured Zenny, has done it on her own for too long, and I needed to remember to appoint some people, and I might be doing that as a move, as we go. I know some of y'all are regulars, and if I ever do it, you don't want to be a mod, just let me know. We'll remove it. But yeah, we've not had any problems so far, but if we ever do, it'd be good to have some people who can help out with it. But never feel like you're obligated to do it. It's always appreciated when you're here and you do it. It's always appreciated when you're here, even if you're not modding. But don't feel like you have to be here because you got the wrench. Substrate. So if you're doing a planted tank, aqua soil seems to be the way to go from everyone I talk to. I've always done gravel and put root tabs in the tank, but I'll tell you, I feel like I'm using more root tabs now than I ever have. So maybe that's a good way of doing a modestly planted tank. But if you're going to do a heavily planted tank, I don't know that I would recommend root tabs anymore. The 75 reached a point where and I'm off on subject. We're talking about substrate, but the 75 reached a point where there were so many plants that I just wasn't not keeping up with the root tabs, and it was costing me. It is costing me quite a bit of money to keep root tabs in it. When if I'd put that initial investment in the on the front end to aqua soil, aqua soil, from what I understand, could be replenishing itself all along as it's pulling from the water column, and save me money in the long run. I mean, it's expensive. You look at, especially on a 75, that's the whole reason why I didn't do it. What, 20 to 30 something dollars a bag, depending on what you get. Stuff can be pricey, but $25 for 60 root tabs in a 75, that's the best deal I found, other than making them myself, and I'm not willing to do that. I'll let somebody who knows what they're doing do it. But that doesn't take long to use up that. It doesn't take long to become more expensive than the aqua soil, and the aqua soil is going. I think aqua soil lasts 2 to 3 years. Is that the same thing? Again, I'm just now starting to look into it to use it. I mean, we've looked at it briefly, but um, I think that stuff breaks down. That's why I haven't used it in the past. If I'm wrong there, tell me. I need to go buy some now and just replace what's in the 75 with it, because I'm not super happy with the substrate in the 75. But you could also do gravel. If you're not going to do, a ton of crypts, a ton of swords, a ton of heavy root feeders, if you're not going to be doing a lot of stuff like that, then definitely gravel, I think, is the way to go. Gravel is one of my favorites. It's still my favorite look. I like the look of gravel over a lot of the popular aqua soils, but it doesn't have those benefits, and you do have to shove root tabs in there. Yeah, so definitely breaks down. The 75 has been running for much longer than 3 years at this point, I think. But I have no intentions of actually tearing it down. Um, so that's the one thing that kind of, I don't know that I want to do an aqua soil in it, but there's options there, and they even have, I see people with marbles and larger rocks. Depending on what kind of fish you're keeping, what's in the tank, what's going on. There's different options, but you're going to need to, you may need a substrate. And so don't forget that. Think about what you want to do there. There's also sand cap. You can, or not just sand cap, you can put sand in the tank. You can definitely do that. I have sand in part of the 75 because I enjoy watching the quarries on it. So there's lots of options out there, lots of things that you can use um, for a substrate. So you need to consider a substrate. I see Ray Aquatics. Hello, Ray Aquatics. Yeah, basement aquatics with Dave. That's a mouthful for me, Dave. I'm just going to say Dave when I notice that you has used Fritz 7, but nothing like a good old filter media squeeze. And that's true. That's what I did when I set the tin up again. Like I had to hardcore clean the tin because it had sat in the garage for a while and had some duckweed in it that I was trying my best to scrape out. And I ended up using vinegar. So it was a fresh start on that tin. And I used a sponge filter that had been running in the 75. I'd been running in the 10 for a while, and I put it in the 75 when I took the 10 down and put it in that tank, put the fish in it, and never once saw a spike of anything. Everything was great. And then a few days later, because I only put 4 inlers in there, that's key. That's key. Small changes over time. After a few days, everything was still good. I put 8 female inlers in there. So now there's a ton of fish in there. There's a ton of fry in there already. A few plants, no substrate because it's temporary, but you can do it. Absolutely can do it. Yeah, Regina phalanges definitely breaks down. That's the downside. It turns to just dirt after a while, says Zinni. But I'm on 2 years in one tank, and it's not horrible yet. Yeah, that is it. Like I almost bought aqua soil for the 75, and I was like, I don't know that I want to spend this money. And when I started reading about it, 3 years you're going to be shoveling it out and throwing it away. I was like, I'm not going to spend the money for that. Um, but I'm thinking that if I just put it in pockets of where I want the heavy root feeders, maybe that'll be better, and I can keep the gravel look. It's kind of what I'm playing with. So who knows? Down the road, not in the next couple of years. I'm stuck with what I got. Um, Zelly Belly says my yard is all natural gray clay and dark dirt. I bake it to 425 in an oven for about an hour and then cool. Obviously, an and only use a dusting under aquarium sand gravel. It works great. Yeah, that's something that I've seen is the idea of putting some dirt down and then capping it with gravel, and that is one thing that I'd really like to do. I think I've looked at that. I know Sean with Peck Tech and also Tanner, they like to put a mix underneath the substrate that they use, which they're using fluorite and aqua soil, but they do put other things underneath. Yeah. If you don't, this is from Zinni. If you don't mind a capped, dirted tank in the long run, you can just keep adding root tabs and squirt ferts. You don't have to throw it out just because it breaks down. Yeah, that's the one reason why I've considered that and maybe capping it. I don't like capping with sand. I'm not a fan of that. Still messy if you start to pull things up, and I don't know that I'm ready to settle into escape yet. You know me, I'm always messing with the 75 and moving stuff. I don't know that I could do it. All right, moving on. Substrate. Third, heater. And I put heater on here because not every species needs a heater. There are some species out there that, depending on how cool you keep your home, you may be able to keep a tank without a heater. Um, and that's just where you need to do your research. In a lot of cases, like I'm thinking about doing a shrimp tank, and I'm really hoping I can do the shrimp tank without a heater. I have a heater that I can use if I need to, but it would be cool to try a cool one. And there's some plants that like to be in cool water as well. So playing around with stuff like that, that's something that you could totally do. You just need to do your research. Fish like betta fish, they need warm water. They don't need to be in a cold tank. A lot of people will put them in a small bowl with no heater, and that's why they die so quickly. But Not every species needs a heater. Some species prefer things to be cool. Now, if you're keeping your house down on like 61, yeah, everything's going to need a heater. I don't know. I don't know that there's much that would prefer to live their life in that chilly water. So, you got to keep that in mind. Where do you keep your house year round? Where does your house sit? We keep our home pretty cool. Um, Around 70, 71, uh, summer and winter. That's kind of where we like it. Sometimes we like it to be a little cooler. If it's really hot and humid, we might, keep it a little cooler at night. And that might cause some problems for you. Hey, Gabriel's glass boxes. Coral Work says my shrimp tank isn't heated, stays about 70 except for the coldest of days. Every watt of light or pump is the heat in the water eventually. Yeah, the little tank that I have has a pump in it. So I have tested. I only left it running for a couple days just to see if it was going to blow up or melt down or, or anything like that, spring a leak. And without a heater, it stayed around 70. I've already forgotten because it was in Celsius. It's one of those tanks. It doesn't even have a Fahrenheit option. Oh, but it's kind of fun. It's a fun little thing. Zenny says I keep my house at 68 and I like tropical fish like discus. You have monster heaters. Goldfish and shrimp. Yeah, goldfish and shrimp. Those are probably the two that most people would keep without a heater. Hey, all things fish. Good to see you. Thanks for coming by. So yeah, a heater, and there's a lot of the lights going down in the 75. There's a lot of talk, a lot of different information as far as what size heater you will need, and I do think a lot of times we go too large with our heaters, and that's one of the things that I feared with having the 75 because I think initially I put 200-watt heaters in the 75. I think that's what I put. So there's 400 watts of heater in the 75. Oh, the light's going to go out. It's going to look horrible. Oh, there's a light on going to cause a reflection. Um, so the so yeah, there's quite a bit, and that made me get a temperature controller because I didn't want. Um, I was afraid something would happen. Those heaters would get stuck on, and that that would be the worst thing ever to come home and find all your fish cooked. And I know some of you all have experienced that. I wouldn't want to go through that. So that's why I picked up um, a temperature controller so that it cuts off my heaters if they ever reach a certain temperature. And it also helps me keep my heaters from running too much because I have it staggered and set to cut on and cut off at certain temperatures. And also let it fluctuate between day and night to try and create that nighttime cooling of the water. Yeah, Dave says I live in 64 degrees. I have my tank heater set at 79. Wow, that heater is pulling its weight. What size heater is it? But I'm seeing some people use smaller heaters lately, and I'm really interested in trying that. I've got both of my heaters are around end of life. Heaters typically last about 3 years. That's when you should expect one to fail. So I have some backup heaters, and I'm going to play around with just trying to run a 100-watt heater in the 75 and see if it can catch up because I'm keeping my water around 74. My house is around 71. I've got a canister filter and some lights on it. I'm wondering 200 watts. Okay. I'm wondering how it will do. I'm wondering if it'll keep up with it. Maybe I'll put a little temperature alarm on there in case it dips down too much and let me know. Ooh, poached gourami. That doesn't sound tasty. Two other tanks at 76. Man, I hate that you can't see the tank. I'm going to step away. It's right over there. I won't be long. I'll be right back. they can handle light for a little bit longer. Oh, I put myself on solo again. There we go. All right. Let's see. Did I miss anything? Was I gone that long? Yeah, so a heater. Most likely, if you're keeping tropical fish, you're going to need a heater, but there are some fish and inhabitants that you get away without them. And certain plants are okay without a heater as well. They actually probably prefer it. I think we keep a lot of plants in warmer water than they would prefer. All right, number 4 on my list of things that may be essential is water. No, that's not true. I still can't believe I didn't include that on the first list. A lid. I prefer a lid. I don't want to find dead fish laying around my tank. Also, I feel like a lid helps with evaporation. It also creates some problems. We'll get to that in a moment. So it does help with evaporation and people knocking things into your tank and stuff like that. It's kind of a protective barrier. If you got kids, you think about things like that. So I've always kept a glass lid. Now a lid does, because it's going to collect that moisture, and a lot of times it's going to sit there up against that glass. You're going to get stuff growing unless you do some sort of preventive measure. Um, there's some good hacks out there to try and keep the water from hitting the glass, but it also creates dead spots in your light. I just keep my glass clean. I try to wipe my glass down anytime I notice a little bit of green on it. But some people do choose to keep a tank without a lid. It does look good. It looks good on a planted tank, especially a rimless tank without a lid. Um, it's a great look, but I don't know that it's for me and my hobby. It's not something that I would want to tend with and take care of. And then also, keeping in mind that certain species are likely to jump in. Keeps dog hair out of the tanks too. Yes, I'm always surprised when I find one of my wives or my wife or girls. Let me get that out. One of my wife or girls' hairs in the tank. I'm like, how did this get in here? Cat hair too. Yeah. So if you have animals, my dog uh, doesn't shed all that much, so I don't guess I've ever found any dog hair in there. But yeah, you keep stuff out. It helps for sure. A tropical 40 outside. I don't know. I don't know what we're talking about. Oh, a 40 breeder outside with tropical fish. Tell me about heaters. Yeah. I don't see, so All Things Fish says, I don't see many freshwater folks run them, but there are some awesome clear screen tops that salty guys use. So like a wire screen, or I mean, you said it's clear, so it's obviously not made of wire, but same concept, same idea. Um, yeah, I've seen that too. Like I've seen people use that. Kind of like I guess the ones I've seen have been the metal mesh, like you would find on a reptile tank. And yeah, a lid helps slow evaporation, so you're not having to fill in water. Although I will say, I know that there's a lot of people in the hobby that strive for fewer and fewer water changes. I am a believer in a regular water change schedule. I think it helps. I don't think you should do too many or too your water changes should be large all the time. But I think a regular water change of these, basically the same amount all the time, is beneficial for your aquarium. Now, there's with all things in this hobby, there's some exceptions to that. Maybe you've got tons of nitrates in your water or ammonia in your water, and every time you do a water change, you've got an issue. So, I mean, obviously, there's things you've got to work around, but for a lot of us, my situation, anytime I go too long without a water change for whatever the circumstances. I remember when we had COVID and we were sick for a while, and when I wasn't sick, I was taking care of people who were sick, and there just wasn't a lot of time to spend on the tank, and I didn't have a python at that time, I don't think so. Um, Doing a water change was a big deal, especially when you're still having trouble breathing after COVID, because it took a little while just to, well, it wasn't so much the breathing, just had no energy. I was wiped out very quickly after having it. But anyway, uh, there are times when you go a little while, and I went a while and always ran into problems anytime I would go a while. Um, Cleaning spray, dust, chemical particles, all kept out by lids. Absolutely true. Bulk reef supply. Okay, awesome. I'll check that out. I've seen cut acrylic, like holes cut all along it, but never a screen per se. Yeah, I've seen that too. Clear screen tops. Wouldn't you still lose? Yeah, you'd still have some evaporation going on there. Yeah. Hey, Nano Aquarium guys here. Yeah, if you want to be lazy, listen to what Nancy B says. If you want to be lazy with water changes, under stock. And I've never been good at that. I like having my live bears. All right, so a lid. You're probably going to want a lid. Most people, I think, benefit from a lid. You may choose to you may buy a rimless tank and go without a lid. So it's a maybe essential. And this is going to be the end of my list. So if I don't cover something that you think should be on the list, be sure and share it. But number 5 for me on what may be essential is plants. If you're keeping a planted tank, or not a planted tank, if you're keeping a freshwater tank, I think it should be planted. I think there's tons of benefits for every tank to have some plants, whether even if it's just floaters, or if you've got an anubias or one Java fern or even some moss, uh, you know, guppy grass, just something to be helping out with those nitrates. Uh, it's going to be beneficial to your tank. I know it's kind of daunting. It scares some people to consider keeping um, plants. Hello, Bill Mayer. Um, and some of us experienced problems early on. I did. I think that's well documented. That it took me 3 tries before I figured out what I was doing wrong. And I think that's where this online community, the fish fam, and just fish tube in general, is a huge help to the hobby because we can get information out there so much easier. I spend all day, well, I don't spend all day, but periodically throughout my day, I'm on a couple of Facebook groups trying to help out people who are just getting started and they run into the same problems. And, you wish stores stores, you wish stores would have literature out for people to read up on, what to do. But unfortunately, it's not all stores. But in the case of some, it's much more profitable not to have that information out there. So I don't know. There's some good stores out there that I feel like they really could put that out to help people. Um, and then again, there's some people you can't help. You can give them a step by step instructions on what to do, how to take care of something, and how to be successful at it, and then they're just not going to listen. Um, so yeah, plants. I feel like plants are a big deal. I think every freshwater tank should have them. There's easy plants out there that you can have success with. All right, that's my 5. I don't think I have to go into too much with plants. I love planted tanks, obviously. That's why I would suggest that. But those are the things that I felt like may be essential. I'm gonna sneeze. Water. All right. Um, all right. Coral Works says, let's look at some of the things that you all have. I skipped. I already mentioned him, so I'm gonna go to it. Coral Works says, is a thermometer on the list? I think a thermometer is mandatory, even if you don't heat the tank personally. That's true. I think that would go on this list nowadays because there are the market's starting to see more and more of those heaters that show you the temperature. So you may want a thermometer. You probably do. If your heater doesn't have one built in, then you definitely do. But you're absolutely right. You're going to want a thermometer, and they're cheap. So just pick one up. Even if your heater has a thermometer, you can check. Now my temperature thing that my heaters are plugged into. Wow. controller, my temperature controller, it has a thermometer on it, or it has a probe that goes in the tank and it keeps up with the temperature. And I actually use that more than anything. So yes, I would agree. That is something that most people should have. Let's see. I scrolled too far. I've gone too far. Basement Dave says algae scraper of some kind. And yeah, that could go on the maybe essential list because, for a long time I used an old debit card to scrape mine. But there are great items out there that you can get. You can get one of those. If you got a deep tank, you might want something with some length to it, or maybe you want to get one of the mag floats. I will tell you, I wanted a mag float for a very long time. I was nerding out, excited when I finally got one. And I thought it was very cool the first few times I had it or I used it. And I've reached the point in the relationship of me and my mag float where I try my best not to use it. I try not to. I do keep algae scraped off. I actually was noticing today when I was cleaning the outside glass that it's time to clean the inside glass. I like the erasers. I know we always have to say make sure you get the foam erasers. There's a name for it. Somebody can put it in the chat. I don't know what it is, but you can use the Mr. Clean erasers, the magic erasers. Don't get the ones with chemicals in them, but they work phenomenal. And that is, if you don't mind getting, your pits wet, if you got a big tank like I do, if you don't mind sticking your arm all the way down there into the tank, those things work amazing. It's one of the quickest and easiest ways I think to clean the glass. Um, Use a small terry cloth. Yeah, you could use something like that for sure. Micro towel too, microfiber. Gabriel says a must-have emergency tool is shop vac carpet scrubbers for emergency water cleanup. Yeah, it's a good idea. I agree. Having a shop vac something I've always had, so I didn't consider putting it on the list. But yeah, for some people, maybe you need to look at getting a small one. Having some way to clean up water is a good idea. I've come close recently. Oh, I've come close. Still have not. I have never done it. I've had like the 25. I had water literally to the edge to the point that because I had to do it, I shut the glass and it was just you were looking perfectly down into the water. The water was all the way up. And of course, when I shut the glass, it kind of rose up around it a little bit. But yeah, I got really close that time. Yeah, everybody's saying agreed, Gabriel. You got to be able to clean up that water. Coro says my carpet shampooer has gotten far more use than I imagined it would. Nancy B says Inkbird. Yeah, oh, the temperature controller. It is an Inkbird that I use. Yep, that's what I meant. Regina Flange says, I really like the Mr. Clean scrubbers. They aren't very durable, but they work well for keeping glass clean. And yes, that is true. They don't last very long, but they're cheap. They're extremely cheap. You can probably get them even cheaper at the store. I'm always afraid I'm going to get the wrong one at the store. And then, put one of those sponges in my tank and smell the chemical and freak out. But you probably can buy them in bulk. Actually, I know you can get them in bulk on Amazon. Sorry. I know you, hold on. The weather. The weather. Um, yeah, I know you can buy them in bulk on Amazon. And another way is my local stores have them at the register, and they're only they used to be like 75 cents. I mean, they're probably $1.25 now at this point. But yeah, Zenny says use the basic. Oh man, melamine sponges, no name brand, same thing. Melamine. I don't think that's right. I'm not going to try. Um, yeah, Python. Regina Phalange says Python. Yeah, Python. It completely changes the game. I did buckets for years, literally years, until I tried Not Python. That didn't go well. A not Python's not the way to go. Just pay whatever few dollars extra it is and get the Python. Really, it's the hose. I know people talk about the connector. There's other good connectors out there. And on my sinks, I don't feel like the Python's the best option for me, but their hose is worth every penny. Doesn't kink. It's just got the right amount of rigidness, if that's a word. It's just the right amount of rigidness and yet flexible. It's perfect. Nano guy, never done it. Just jinx yourself. Yeah, could be. Yep. Dave says scissors and long tweezers are a must for a planted tank. And yeah, I would agree. You can get by without them, but they make things so much easier. Vibes is back. Stainless steel tools. Yeah, get some good tools. Costco is the way to go. We're talking about the erasers. Yes. I keep a turkey baster at the aquarium. I am using it constantly. Very useful item. Can be used to get a sample of water, although I do prefer pipette for that. It can also be used to stir up detritus for when you're doing a water change. A lot. I don't vacuum because the tank's so heavily planted. So stirring up that detritus, just getting what's on the top into the water column and being able to pull it out, that's very helpful. Aquatic Moose, hello. Aquatic Moose says, we do the swords all along one side too. The fish love going in there. Def makes it harder to catch fish. Yeah, I'm sure it will be. I'm loving the swords over on one side. Giant Anubius on the other. Isn't melamine that like countertop laminate material? That would be Formica. Zen Ginger says, I say melamine. Melamine. I mean, it's MINE. That's mine. Hey, Matt, Liquid Zoo, OnlyFans, you're not late. I mean, we've got like 8 minutes left. That's plenty of time. You can't stand more than 8 minutes. Nancy says, I did buckets for my first 55 20 years ago. It was a workout. Yeah, and it just gets to the point where it's not really even the work, it's just the time. I mean, it is. It's a lot of work, but the time. It's just a crazy amount of time to do it. And I used to take the buckets and go around outside and water the landscaping with it. So it was very time consuming. I would pull out, 3 4 buckets of water and then go place them around the landscape and then come back around with a cup and toss it out. All things fish. That's funny. Um, I don't know. Melamine. I don't know that I've ever paid attention to how to say it. All right. 125 new clubs and channels to the page. Next is to find a ton of local fish stores to add in. All right. Yeah, I can get you some information for the Knoxville area for sure. That's cool. I hope we're one of the clubs on there. We may have already been on there. Uh, I'll double check. Let me know when, or you don't have to let me know. I'll keep watch on it. But Matt's Liquid Zoo's talking about fishfam.link, and that's a great resource for you if you don't already use fishfam.link. You can go on there and see who is live at any time. You can also go to a calendar and pull up and see who's going to be going live soon. Like Eric Wyrock should be going live here in just a few minutes when we're done. Or not necessarily when we're done, but here in just a few minutes. But you can do that. You can check out when your favorite live streams will be on. They do a great job, phenomenal job of keeping up when live streams are going. I know that anytime I'm not able to go live, I try to let them know so they can update it. So you can go on there and see that I'm not going to be live. Although I'm working on not doing that. But fantastic group. There's a great group there working on things. And I know Matt does a lot. Matt does a lot there. So check it out. It's a great resource if you've not already used it. Only sells them in packages with detergents. Ugh. Oh, I'm behind. When did that happen? Why do they use the same word for multiple things? Melamine is the sponge and the weird particle board laminate. Oh, really? I didn't know that. I've always called it Formica. Maybe that's a brand name. I did countertops for a long time. We always called it Formica. Uh, All Things Fish says, I'm a big believer in making tank maintenance easy. If it feels like a work and takes forever, you aren't going to be, yeah, you aren't going to do it all the time. Yeah, and it won't get done sometimes, and the tank will suffer. I agree. That's why I like my Python. And I say dopamine too, and it's you're right. You are right. It is dopamine. Huh. Okay. All right. Maybe it's melamine. Melamin. Maybe it's melamin. Um, but yeah, making it easier really changes things. My sinks are pretty much level with the 75, so I can't get a good siphon going if I have it going to the sink, and I have to. I use a little pump to move it. Guys, I'm tired. Sorry, I'm trying to yawn for some reason here at the end. I'm gonna try to get some sleep tonight. But yeah, buying them in bulk, they are super affordable. Okay, Dave uses Python but customized a quarter-inch tube. Yep. There's the link for fishfam.link. Redundancy. The office for redundancy office. Oh yeah, keeping fresh water heated for discus. Yeah, that'd be a pain. The rock pile streaming next. Don't tell her she's right. I've got to tell Zinni when she's right. Melamine. Menet. I like that. I'm adopting that. Melamine. I'm gonna forget it in the next 5 minutes. Formica is high pressure particle board according to Google. Melamine is lower pressure, more like the cheap bookshelf. Oh, okay. Well, I've probably run across it and still called it Formica. So yeah, all right. Yep, great conversation, y'all. This has been fun. I did start feeding. There's some conversation going on about food. I did start feeding baby brine shrimp the last few weeks. I picked up a small hatchery. Geek Boy recommended one to me. I saw it on. He was on. Was it a video for Dan's Fish? I think Dan from Dan's Fish visited his house, and one of the baby brine shrimp hatcheries that he had was one that I'd been looking at. So I messaged him and I asked him a bunch of questions and annoyed him, I'm sure. And he was like, "Just buy it," and that's not true. It wasn't like that. He was super super nice and really helpful. But yeah, I picked it up, and I picked up some of the co-ops eggs at my local store. One of my local fish stores sells co-op products, the Aquatic Marine, and I've I've fed a lot of baby brine shrimp recently. It's been really cool. I've not gotten a great hatch rate though, but I do think it's because of my setup, and I'm still kind of working that out. Coro, that's what I use. I have a small pond pump that I use, and I pump it out into my sink. During the during the summer, though, once it starts warming up, I will pump it into a 32-gallon trash can that I have on wheels, and I'll wheel it around and fill up or water my landscape with it. Yeah, frozen. I'm actually freezing my own baby brine here recently. It's pretty cool too. I do set up reminders on my watch. All right, I am about out of time, so thank you all for coming. Thanks for hanging out with me. It's been a lot of fun. Always enjoy these Tuesday nights and hate it when we miss. So thank you all for joining me, and it just blows me away to see so many of you here. And I know we're not pulling like 100 people in the chat, but the fact that 20 of you hung out with me for about an hour blows my mind. So thank you all. for coming and for participating. And I hope to see you in the chats of the other live streams. I'll be around. Probably not tonight. I think I'm hitting the bed pretty early tonight. Going to get some sleep. And so, yeah, that's it. Enjoy your tanks. Oh, before I go, thank you to Zenny and all of the mods. Honestly, y'all rule. All of y'all.